system application, where few extra kilobytes also matters, okay, then prefer using bean factory container. If Spring is used in memory critical applications like mobile applications, embedded systems, and using the basic features of IOC container, then prefer using bean factory container, because sometimes 1 or 2 kilobytes memory also matters in memory critical applications, guys. Your applications are memory sensitive, boss. You have very, very less memory. 1-2 kilobytes also matters. Okay, then you think about working with bean factory containers. If Spring is used in regular standalone applications, web application, distributed application, then prefer using application context container, because there will not be any memory constraint while working with those applications. Regular standalone applications will be where, guys? Regular computers. Okay, regular computers, RAM issues are there, was nowadays. Nowadays, RAM issues are there. RAM has become very cheap now, boss. RAM has become very cheap, right? We are getting good amount of RAMs nowadays, right now, boss? So if you are using, if your Spring is used in regular application, regular website, regular distributed application, regular standalone application, prefer application context container. Examples, boss. Desktop games, standalone application, nareshit.com, web application, Paytm, distributed application. If Spring is used in this kind of applications, guys, so prefer dealing with what? Regular application context container. Always prefer dealing with what? Regular application context container. Convinced, my dear? Got the clarity, boss? Yeah, there is a term called stereotype annotations, boss. There is a term called stereotype annotations. Shall we understand what do you mean by stereotype annotations, guys? Multiple annotation with similar behavior is called stereotype annotations. Multiple annotations with similar behavior is called stereotype annotation. Listen, guys. Boys dressing is called stereotype dressing. The dress variety for the boy is called stereotype dressing. What do you say, boss? Is called what dressing, guys? Stereotype dressing. Right now, boss? Yeah. Why, guys? Boy may say a number of things, guys. At the end, he is wearing pant and shirt. At the end, he is wearing shirt and pant. But can I say girls dressing is stereotype dressing, guys? Girls dressing is stereotype dressing, guys? No, they have variety of words. Anything they can wear, any color they can wear, any style they can wear. Their dresses can have cuts anywhere, right? Their dresses can have cuts anywhere. Their dresses lengths are their choice. But do you think boys dressing is having that freedom, boss? Do you think boys dressing is having that freedom? Yeah. So multiple annotations which are doing similar activities are called stereotype annotation. The annotation that are having similar purpose or behavior more or less are called stereotype annotations. These are called stereotype annotations. Why, sir? Why? All these are there to make Java class as Spring Bean. All these annotations, main work is what? Making Java class or Spring Bean. Maybe some few extra things they do, guys, but basic work is same. All these annotations are extensions of @component internally. Service, repository, controller, configuration. Okay. @component makes the Java class as Spring Bean. @service makes the Java class as Spring Bean come service class. Spring Bean come service class. What do you mean by service class? The Java class that contains the business logic. The Java class that contains the business logic. Nothing but calculations, analyzation, filtering, sortings is called service class, guys. Class having business logic, performing calculations, analyzations, sorting, filtering, and etc. is called service class, guys. Basically, Spring Bean, inside that Spring Bean, lot of business methods will be there. Inside the business methods, business logic will be there. Business logics are nothing but what, guys? Calculations, analyzation, sortings, filtering, etc. etc. Repository makes the Java class as Spring Bean come repository or DAO class. Repository or DAO class. What do you mean by repository or DAO class? Class having persistence logics. Class having persistence logics. Code operations on database software, guys. Code operations on database software. This class contains logics to perform insert, update, delete, and select operations on database software. Insert, update, delete, and select operations on database software. Clear, my dear? Got the clarity, boss? DAO means data access object. DAO class means data access object class, boss. In future, I will introduce all these names. Don't worry. DAO, data access object class. Yeah. This class contains what logic? Persistence logic. Nothing but JDBC code. What JDBC code will do? Code operations on database software. What do you mean by code operations? Insert, update, delete, select operations on database software or not? Web controller class, guys. Class having logics to process the HTTP request given by browser. Class having logics to process the HTTP request given by browser, guys. HTTP request given by browser. Are you understanding my statement, boss? Class having logics to process HTTP request given by browser. HTTP request given by browser. Understanding my statement? MVC is a architecture to develop the projects. They can take browser given request, guys. They can take browser given request. It contains the methods to take the request given by browser and to process the request and to generate the response. Equivalent to Servlet JSP, guys. Equivalent to Servlet JSP. Class having logic to process the HTTP request given by browser. This is specific to web application, guys. Next, we are having what, guys? Configuration class. Configuration class, guys. Tell me. @controller makes the Java class as Spring Bean come web controller class. @configuration makes the Java class as Spring Bean come configuration class. Sir, what do you mean by configuration class? Listen, guys. We can develop Spring application in how many ways? XML driven configuration, XML plus annotation driven configurations, and 100% code driven configurations. In 100% code driven configuration, can I use XML? No. So in the place of XML, I should use Java class as the configuration class. XML file is configuration file. So in that place, I should use Java class itself as a configuration class. How does normal Java class become configuration class, guys? When you have the annotation called @configuration. @configuration. Class having Spring Bean configurations alternate to Spring Bean configuration file, which is XML file. In 100% code-driven configuration approach and in Spring Boot approach. In Spring Boot approach, 100% code-driven configuration approach, we don't use XML file as the configuration file. In that place, we use Java class as configuration class. How does normal Java class become configuration class? When you keep the annotation @configuration. When you keep the annotation @configuration. When you keep the annotation @configuration, boss. Everyone understanding my statement, guys? Okay. That means what? When you want to make a Java class as just Spring Bean component, Spring Bean come service class @service. Spring Bean come DAO class @repository. Spring Bean come web controller @controller. Spring Bean come configuration class @configuration. Understanding, guys? All these annotations do the same basic work called configuring Java classes as Spring Bean. But annotation perform extra operations like making classes as a service class or DAO class and etc. But annotation perform extra operations like making classes as a service class or DAO class and etc. boss. So here is my DAO, data access object. Data access object. Tell me what is the note, guys? Most of the time we use @component annotation to configure Java class as Spring Bean. While developing projects, we need to deal with service DAO controller classes. So there we use special stereotype annotation. These many days we developed so many applications now in core module. Most of the time we use it @component only now. Most of the time we used @component only na, boss. Yeah, while developing projects, guys, we keep different logics in different layers. We keep different logics in different classes and we make them talking with each other. In that special situation, we take some classes as service classes. We take some classes as DAO classes. We take some classes as controller classes. In Spring MVC classes, you are going to experience them, guys. In Spring MVC classes, Spring JDBC classes, you are going to experience them. So at that time, we will be using these special annotations or not. In that situation, you will be dealing with this special annotation. So that's why I have introduced it. That's why I have introduced it. Convinced, my dear? Stereotype annotations. Multiple annotations having same behavior or purpose. Multiple annotations having same behavior or purpose. Having same behavior or purpose. Having same behavior or purpose, boss. Yes, boss. Yeah. Let's come to today's discussion, Spring Bean life cycle, guys. Another important topic of Spring, boss. Spring Bean life cycle. I think how many of you are aware of Servlet life cycle, guys? Anyone heard about Servlet life cycle? What do you mean by Servlet life cycle, guys? What do you mean by life cycle? Keeping track of all the activities from the birth to death is called life cycle. Keeping track of all the activities from the birth to death is called life cycle, guys. Keeping track of all the activities from birth to death is called life cycle. Is called life cycle. Got it? Everyone getting my point? Life cycle means what, guys? Keeping track of every activity from the birth to death is called life cycle. Is called life cycle. Are you understanding my statement, guys? Human being life cycle means what? Keeping track of all the activities from the birth of the human being to death of the human being. When he has taken birth, okay. When he has started for schooling, when name is given, when he completed schooling, when he got married, when he has become father, when he has taken retirement. Okay, keeping track of all important activities will be kept tracked or not. And when he has died, that is called life cycle, boss. Who manages servlet component life cycle? Servlet container. Who manages spring bean life cycle? Spring container, right? Okay, guys. In every object life cycle, some important events will be there. They are called life cycle events. Some important events will be there. They are called life cycle events. The methods that will execute automatically for life cycle events are called life cycle methods, na boss? Are we going to call life cycle method explicitly? No. Whenever life cycle event is raised, automatically life cycle methods will be called or not? Yes or no? Na? Tell me, what are the important life cycle events in human being life cycle? Is birth, is naming ceremony. Okay, is start of schooling, is end of schooling, is start of career, is entering into marriage life, becoming father or mother. Right now, boss? He is taking retirement. He is taking retirement. Come on. He is losing, he is dying. Is a death, boss. Everything is event, right? Everything is a celebration. Everything is celebration, right, boss? The Springs IOC container manages the spring bean life cycle. That means IOC container take care of all the activities related to spring bean from birth to death, right from loading of class, object creation, object management, calling life cycle method, destroying objects, and etc. operations. The action performed on the object or component during object life cycle is called life cycle events. The method that executes automatically when the life cycle event is raised is called life cycle method. Is called life cycle method. Everyone understanding my statement? The method that executes automatically when life cycle event is raised is called life cycle method. Is called life cycle method. Everyone getting my point? Servlet container managing the life cycle of servlet component. Servlet container manages the life cycle of servlet component by calling servlet life cycle methods for servlet life cycle events, boss. Okay, who manages servlet component life cycle? Servlet container. Who manages JSP component life cycle? JSP container. Who manages spring bean life cycle? Spring container, right? Are we going to call life cycle method explicitly, guys? No. When life cycle events are raised, the life cycle methods will be called automatically or not. When life cycle methods are raised, the life cycle events will be called. When life cycle events are raised, the life cycle methods will be called automatically or not. Okay, now look at these guys. Servlet life cycle event, life cycle method. This is servlet lifecycle event. This is a servlet lifecycle method. Servlet lifecycle event. Instantiation event rises when the servlet container creates our servlet class object. Here is the init method. Here is the init method. Right now, boss. Instantiation event rises when the servlet container creates our servlet class object. This is the init method, boss. Request processing event rises when the servlet component is ready. Okay. When servlet component gets the request from browser or client, gets the request from browser or client. Here is my public void service method. Servlet request REQ, servlet response RES. Servlet request REQ, servlet response RES. Good guys. Then we have got destruction event, boss. Rises when the servlet component is about to destroy our servlet class object. Here is my destroy method. Here is my destroy method. Here is my service method. Here is my init method. Yeah, these are the three life cycle events of servlet component. Instantiation event, request processing event, lastly destruction. Lastly destruction event. Lastly destruction event. The servlet component lifecycle method names are fixed. Fixed names. Because the servlet component is what? Invasive component. What do you mean by invasive component, guys? They directly or indirectly implement servlet interface. Right now, boss? They directly or indirectly implement servlet interface. Anyhow, in that interface, three methods can be declared as the lifecycle method. Are you listening my statement? In servlet component lifecycle, the lifecycle method names are fixed or not? An action performed on the object or component is called event. Object is created event. Object is about to destroy event. Okay. Object has got the request event. You look at JavaScript, guys, HTML JavaScript. You clicked on button event. Web page on click event, on double click event, on change event, on mouse click event. Recollect, action performed on the component is called event. In JavaScript, so many events are there. At least in servlet lifecycle, only 3 lifecycle events are there. Right now, boss? Someone is asking me what is event. Arey, don't be fresh bee, boss. In JavaScript, you select the item, event. You press the key, one event. You release the key in the keyboard, one event. You close the window, one event. You maximize the window, one event. You minimize the window, one event. Everything is an event, right? Everything is an event. Everything is an event, right now, boss? Okay. Servlet container created our servlet class object instantiation event. Okay, what is the lifecycle method that will be called automatically? Init method, right? Servlet component is taken request. is a ready and taken request. Request processing event. What is the life cycle method that will be called, guys? Service method. Servlet container is about to destroy our servlet class object. About to destroy our servlet class object. What is the event, guys? Destruction event, right? Destroy method. Who manages servlet component lifecycle? Servlet container. By raising how many lifecycle events? 3 lifecycle events. Okay. For these 3 lifecycle events, how many lifecycle methods will be called? 3 lifecycle methods will be called. Okay. So now listen. Who manages Spring Bean lifecycle? IOC container. By raising how many lifecycle events? Only 2 lifecycle events. Only 2 lifecycle events. One is instantiation event, one is a destruction event. Array, Spring Bean is a web component not to get the request. No, na. Spring Bean is a normal Java class object, guys. So how my IOC container is rising how many lifecycle events, guys? IOC container is rising how many lifecycle events, guys? IOC container is rising how many lifecycle events, guys? 2 lifecycle events. One is instantiation event, one is a destruction event. One is instantiation event, one is a destruction event. Spring's IOC container rises only 2 lifecycle method in Spring Bean lifecycle management. Since Spring Bean class is a non-invasive class, the lifecycle method names are not fixed in Spring Bean lifecycle. You can make any 2 methods as lifecycle methods, guys. Action performed on the object is called event. Events are like creating object, destroying object, and etc. Lifecycle events of Spring Bean are instantiation event rises when IOC container creates our Spring Bean class object. Calls the programmer configured init lifecycle method, user-defined method, guys. This method is a user-defined method. This method is user-defined method. Super, guys. Destruction event, guys, rises when the IOC container is about to destroy our Spring Bean class object. Rises when the IOC container is about to destroy our Spring Bean class object. Calls the programmer configured destroy lifecycle method, which is again user-defined method. Tell me, guys, while developing Spring Bean class, is there any rule it should implement some certain interface? Is there any rule it should extend from certain Java class? No. So you can take completely user-defined class as Spring Bean class now. When you take completely user-defined class as Spring Bean class, come on. Completely user-defined class as Spring Bean class. Is there any chance of having any fixed named methods? So you should configure some user-defined methods as Spring Bean lifecycle methods or not. Using different techniques, using annotation, using XML configuration, you have to configure certain methods of Spring Bean as lifecycle methods. Lifecycle method. Okay, IOC container rises how many lifecycle events? 2 lifecycle events. One is instantiation event, other one is destruction event, right? One is instantiation event, other one is destruction event. Everyone getting my point here, guys? Everyone understanding my statement, guys? Okay. Now listen. Interviewer asks the question. Why Spring Bean lifecycle methods are not fixed methods? Fixed name methods. Fixed name methods. Tell me, guys. We can take any Java class as Spring Bean. You can take user-defined classes as Spring Bean. In user-defined classes, is there any chance of having fixed method names, guys? Is there any chance of having fixed method names, guys? Is there any chance of having fixed method names, guys? So that's the reason the lifecycle method names in Spring Bean are user-defined or predefined. The lifecycle method in Spring Bean are user-defined or predefined. Definitely user-defined, right? We can take any Java class as Spring Bean. Spring Bean class is non-invasive. That means Spring Bean class need not to implement or extend from any Spring API specific interfaces or classes. So there is no possibility of having fixed methods in Spring Bean lifecycle. This makes the programmer to configure easy choice methods as lifecycle methods. Easy choice methods as lifecycle methods. Right now, boss? Easy choice methods as lifecycle methods. I hope everyone convinced, guys. Why servlet is having fixed lifecycle methods? That if you want to make Java class as servlet component, the class has to implement servlet interface directly or indirectly. In that servlet interface, okay, 3 fixed methods are there acting as lifecycle methods. Yes, na boss. That's why in servlet lifecycle method names are fixed. Lifecycle method names are fixed. But do you have same guarantee in? Do you have same guarantee in Spring Bean? Do you have same guarantee in Spring Bean? What do you mean by object class methods, na boss? They are inherited methods, na? They are not lifecycle methods. Right, guys. And now listen. What kind of logic we place in Spring Bean lifecycle method? Or in Spring Bean lifecycle, how many lifecycle events are there? Instantiation event, for that one init lifecycle method. Destruction, for that one destroy lifecycle method. So what kind of logics we are going to keep in the init lifecycle method, destroy lifecycle method? First, init lifecycle method, guys. Array, already injections are there taking care of initialization. Injections are nothing but initialization. So we don't write initialization logics in the init method. Since init lifecycle method happens, executes after all injections, in this method we check whether important properties are injected with correct values or not. If not injected, we throw exception and we stop control going to business logic execution. That's the one task we do, guys. Another task. There may be some properties which have not participated in any kind of injection. If needed, we will try to initialize such properties in the init lifecycle method. In the init lifecycle method of Spring Bean, we try to do 2 operations. We try to do 2 operations. Operation number 1. We try to do 2 operations. Operation number 1. Operation number 1. Tell me. Since init lifecycle method executes after all injections, we check whether important properties are injected with valid values or not. If not injected, we throw exception. If not injected, we throw exception. Right, boss? That's the point number 1. Number two, there may be some properties not participating in the injection. If you want to initialize such properties, we take the support of what? Init lifecycle method. Sir, then what kind of logics we keep in destroy lifecycle method? When destroy lifecycle method executes, guys, when Spring Bean is about to destroy, when Spring Bean class object is about to destroy. When Spring Bean class object is about to destroy, the destroy lifecycle method executes. The destroy lifecycle method executes, guys. Are you understanding my statement, guys? The destroy lifecycle method executes. When the Spring Bean object is about to destroy, the destroy lifecycle method executes, guys. Everyone understanding my statement, guys? What kind of logics will keep in destroy lifecycle methods, guys? We try to nullify the bean properties. Whatever initialized, whatever injected, or when object is about to destroy, better to release them, better to nullify them. Are you understanding my statement, guys? For example, I'll put like this. I'll put, when big person is about to die, he will try to release all his responsibilities. He will try to nullify all his responsibilities to next generation. Come on, my dear. He will try to nullify all his responsibilities. Next one. Suppose Spring Bean is connected to database. Spring Bean is connected to some non-Java resource service. So when object is about to die, when object is about to destroy, better to release that object or not? Better to release that object. Okay, better to release those non-Java resources or not? Yes, na boss? Okay. Suppose a person is about to die, but he is a chairman of some company. Better to release him from that responsibility. He will be releasing himself from that responsibility, na boss. He is the owner for 10 to 15 assets, boss. He will make some other person as owner by releasing himself. That kind of logics will be written here. Nullifying bean properties is one logic. Releasing non-Java resources associated with Spring Bean is another logic. These are the two responsibilities will be kept in what? Destroy lifecycle methods. See, look at this. In the init lifecycle method, we place following logics. See, this init lifecycle method executes after completion of all injections of Spring Bean. So we check whether correct values are injected or not to the Spring Bean properties in the init lifecycle method. In the init lifecycle method. Super. We can initialize those Spring Bean properties that are not participated in dependency injection operations. That are not participated in the dependency injection operation, where in the init lifecycle method. In the init lifecycle method, we can initialize Spring Bean properties which are not participated in injection activities. Super. In destroy lifecycle method, we place following logics. Number one, nullifies the Spring Bean properties, assigning reference variables to null, numeric variables to 0, floating variables to 0.0, and etc. Releasing non-Java resources associated Spring Bean, like releasing DB connection from Spring Bean, guys. Releasing DB connection from Spring Bean. So these are the works what we prefer to do in Spring Bean lifecycle methods. I hope you enjoyed, guys. Okay, boss. But there are some rules to develop those life cycle methods, guys. While developing life cycle methods, while choosing life cycle method, there are rules to follow. Method should be public, return type should be wide, any method name you can take, okay, no parameters. While creating init life cycle method, destroy life cycle method, you must follow this signature. Public wide method name, no parameters. Public wide method name, no parameters. Is that clear, guys? Public wide method name, no parameters, empty method was, empty brackets. Placing lifecycle method in Spring Bean purely optional because Spring Bean is non-invasive class. Is it compulsory Spring Bean should have lifecycle method? So far, I have not taken any problem from my side. Any problem so far, guys? If you place, you will write extra logic. If you don't place, no problem. Alexa, activate balcony central light.
Okay.
The init lifecycle method and destroy method must have following fixed signature. Public void init method. Public void method name, no parameter logic. Public void method name, no parameter logic. Spring Bean lifecycle methods. Return type should be wide. Must be public. Must be public method. No parameter should be taken. No param should be taken. No param should be taken. Clear, guys? You should not take any kind of parameters. Clear, guys? You can take any name, boss, but signatures are fixed, guys. Right? You see, three different approaches of Spring Bean lifecycle method configuration. See, guys, lifecycle method names are your choice method. You should explicitly tell these are the lifecycle method. Then only IOC container takes them as lifecycle methods, guys. So you should configure lifecycle method explicitly. Total, how many approaches are there to configure lifecycle methods, guys? 3 approaches are there. What are those? 3 approaches of specifying these are lifecycle method. 3 approaches are there informing to IOC container these are lifecycle methods. Declarative approach, guys. Programmatic approach, guys. Annotation driven approach, guys. Declarative approach, programmatic approach, annotation driven approach. By using one of these 3 techniques, we should inform the IOC container, take these user defined methods, take these methods as lifecycle methods. In declarative approach, we use XML tag attributes to configure the names of lifecycle methods. We use XML tag attributes to configure the names of lifecycle method. That is a declarative approach, guys. Programmatic approach. Programmatic approach. Okay, guys. We use one or other Java code to configure certain methods as lifecycle methods, boss. Annotation driven approach. We use @post construct, @pre-destroy annotations to configure methods as lifecycle methods. To configure the methods as lifecycle methods. Are you listening, guys? What is declarative approach? Declarative means XML based configurations. Programmatic means Java code based configurations. Annotations means annotation based configurations. Right now, boss? Annotation based configurations. Let's see declarative approach, guys. Here the lifecycle methods will be configured using init method, destroy method attributes of bean tag in Spring Bean configuration file. Here Spring Bean is non-invasive, boss. Here what we use, init method and destroy method attributes. In bean tag, these two attributes are there to configure lifecycle methods, In programmatic approach, guys, here Spring Bean gets fixed lifecycle method because Spring Bean class needs to implement Spring API supplied interfaces, which are predefined interfaces, guys. So here lifecycle method names are fixed. Predefined interfaces. Here Spring Bean becomes invasive Spring Bean. Only in this case, lifecycle method names are fixed, guys. Because we are forced to make Spring Bean implementing Spring API supplied interfaces. Spring API supplied interfaces, guys. This is different. We will discuss later. Annotation driven approach, boss. Here methods of Spring Bean will be configured as lifecycle methods. Using @predestroy, using @post-construct annotations. Using @predestroy and using @post-construct annotations. Clear, guys? Custom methods are lifecycle method. Here custom methods are lifecycle methods, guys. Here Spring Bean becomes non-invasive Spring Bean. Someone is asking me which is the best approach. In different situation, different best approaches are there. According to the situation, we have to take it. If Spring Bean class is user-defined class, one approach. If Spring Bean class is predefined class, one approach. If Spring Bean class is Spring API applied class, one approach. According to the situation, we have to pick up the best approach. All are good approach. According to the situation, you have to pick up the situation. Why it is called declarative approach? Here we use XML tag attributes to configure lifecycle. Why it is called programmatic approach? By implementing one or other Spring API supplied predefined interfaces, we are indirectly going to make some fixed methods as lifecycle methods. So here everything deals with Java code, that's why. Here we use some annotations like predestroy and post-construct to configure the lifecycle method. That's why it is called annotation-driven approach. This is programmatic approach. This is declarative approach. Clear, boss? Got the clarity, boss? Everyone understanding my statement, boss? Clear, guys? Understood, boss? Yeah, we have to take each approach and we have to develop it, boss. Right. So we'll take each approach, we'll implement, guys. We'll implement later. For the timing, let me upload the document and let me give some videos to watch for this weekend. Spring First full stack, guys. So don't worry about best approach. According to the situation, you have to pick up the approach. Upload, guys. Browse here. Class content, Spring 64 core. What is today's date? 17th. That is Sheikh Shubani. You are asking invasive, non-invasive means you have not concentrated initial classes, huh? Okay. Recollect. Any class that is forced to implement underlying technology or framework API interface are forced to extend from underlying technology or framework API class is called invasive, tightly coupled with framework, tightly coupled with technology. Right now, boss? That is called invasive. I think in the initial days we have discussed it. In the initial days we have discussed it now, guys. How we discussed in the initial days. Joining in the company with bond, invasive. Marriage kind of attachment, invasive. Non-invasive. While developing any class, if there is no restriction of implementing technology or framework API interfaces or extending from technology or framework API classes, then it is called non-invasive. Example, joining in the company without bond. Okay, living together relationship. All these are non-invasive. Right now, boss? Everyone getting my point there, guys? Super. Sir, I have a problem creating Maven project. First time it's showing 33% starting. Arey, mister, it's a problem with your configuration of Eclipse, ra babu. Try to install Eclipse in other than C drive, your problem will be solved. Still not solved? Do one thing. Go to C drive. Your Maven is stuck up. Go to users folder. Go to username folder. There is a M2 folder, right? You just delete that M2 folder and relaunch the Eclipse ID. Your problem is solved. Your Maven got stuck up. Das Chintu. Java.util. No such element exception, boss. Enter country code. Array, maybe you are not using scanner properly because it is not making you to enter the value. Use our sc.next method properly, boss. Which is industry standard version of Spring, boss. Okay, I think still use Spring industry using 5.x only. Which is industry standard version, I think we discussed. All working except Hindi. Maybe you have not kept Unicode characters properly. Check it out. All working except Hindi. Maybe problem with Unicode characters, guys. I'm 2022 August passed out. So that how much time you will be considered as fresher. Okay. Listen, till 2023 July, August, you will be treated as fresher. Okay. Dilip, it is asking to Mr. Harshit, who got this problem. Pawan Kumar Madhi, I think in your question, it is asking package name, other things. You just type why your problem will be solved. Still not solved, delete that M2 folder. Which is standard version in Springs are up to Java 8. Array, listen. Up to Java 8 also 5.x version only. 5.x version. Priyanka Gautam. Yes, sometimes solution will come when you press Y. Enter the country code question mark. Array, these are problems in your systems, ra babu. In your Eclipse settings. Das Chintu, just now I have given the solution. Na. You are not using sc.next properly, guys. Okay, Arshit, so how to increase logic building, sir? Logic building will be increased. You have to learn in C language or core Java, right? As a fresher, how to get job as Java developer? Apply through job portal application. Try to clear narration screening test. Any small opportunity, don't lose it. Apply until you get the success. Right. Sachin Yadav, STS plugin is installable only through marketplace, no other option. Okay. Vilas Gapit, 2020 means very less companies will treat you as a fresher boss. Better to try to show gap as experience. Better to show gap as experience. Clear, guys? Okay. Do you know InnoMind software company? Yes, guys. A lot of my old students are working in that company. It's a good company, guys. It's a good company. You can happily join in that company. Okay. Uday, right now market is bit dry. This month or next month they are planning to conduct. This month or next month they are planning to conduct, guys. Arshit Chaurasia, logic building problem means we should improve that by practicing more of core Java exercises, more of C language exercises. That only in a star pattern building. Okay, some other patterns building will be there, right? Prem, InnoMinds company is good company. A lot of my old students are there. You can happily concentrate. Arif, you are doing good. Parallelly, you can join for the, we can try for interview. Once the spring core module is over, you can happily join, go for the interviews. Abhay Chaudhary, why now these days any call for experience? No, calls are there for experienced people, guys. 2+, 3+, 4+, 5+ calls are there. For freshers, bit dry. From the May month again, May or April, market will be reopened. Don't worry. Market will be reopened. Yeah, this weekend you please watch this video, guys. This weekend, please watch. What are the different tools used in real time in different phases of project development? Okay, please watch a resume preparation and interview tips session. There I talked so many suggestions towards interview tips. Right. Rustum Kumar, if you are a full stack student, they ask in full stack domain. Na? If you are full stack student, they'll ask in full stack domain, right? Screening test is conducted according to the course you joined, right, boss? Okay, you searched Natras sir means, oh, fine. No. So you are showing my photographs to me, boss. Right, thank you. Thank you. Right. I'm just sharing my knowledge, guys. Yeah, please watch this video, guys. Tools used in modern development and build process. Tools used in modern development and build process, guys. Okay. Okay, then I will start sharing each tool every week. One tool every week I will start sharing. Yeah, full stack developer also can apply as Java developer, boss. But you're trying to reduce your level. That's it. Okay. Syed, in which course you are related to that course, screening test will be conducted. Super, guys. Right, boss. Thank you.